Oh, hey everybody, it's Randy Canaro with Saddle Station Farm. So we got a question on YouTube. Goodness. We got a question on YouTube about on our video, how do you keep pigs from escaping? And the question is something to the effect of if they have a pig tractor, will they still need to have electric fencing around the perimeter? First off, pig tractors have a very narrow place in where I feel that they're effective. If you have just one or two pigs at your property and you just have a couple, you can get away with a pig tractor for a while. The problem, though, is that the larger they get, the larger the tractor has to become to give them plenty of room to run around and for a water source. Not to mention, as you're moving this tractor, you have to have a regular water source. So this structure, your tractor, has to be able to carry water somehow. Multiple 5-gallon buckets probably because they're going to waste a bunch. Ideally, it'd probably be like a 275-gallon white stock tank with the aluminum cage around it, or some type of barrel system or whatever you've got. But you want 50 gallons of water, something big enough that it's efficient to move, but will still supply all they need. So the downside of that, obviously, is going to be heavy as hell to move. It's going to be a mess. So you're either going to have to come up with something super clever, do it manually, or you're going to have a four-wheeler or a tractor or your Subaru or whatever you're driving around. Some way to move it. It's just a hassle. Within a very short period of time, the pigs are just going to hammer the ground so much that they're going to get bored and, through the natural rooting, want to get out. Right? Especially if, I think the comment on YouTube mentioned leaving them for like a week. Well, maybe if they're like 10 weeks old, if they're 2 months old and they're 75-pound shoats, they want to get some food and they want to run around. Even these guys, like 275 pounds or so, they'll chase me around the yard on the four-wheeler, or on our bicycles, and just cruise. Or if I have a bucket of feed, I could run through the woods and they'll chase after me. So they want to move. And if you're going to make a confined tractor, that means you have to move that whole structure every time you want to get them on new land. Now, if you're putting in like a garden, or you have a bunch of invasives like Japanese knotweed or something that you don't care for, that you just want to eradicate or try to till up, yeah, they have their place. They'd be good to put them in there for a little while, kind of bounce them around. Shouldn't be an issue. But as they get older, it just runs into all kinds of problems, and you can't really scale that up. Their little day shelter over here is only like, I don't know, 8 by 18, and there's 12 of them sitting in there. So it's just big enough for them to go hunker down, pile up, get out of the elements. But other than that, half the time they're out in the woods sleeping. They're not really hanging out in there. I mean, you get a couple of them to do. But back to that, the tractor. Having the tractor and then having a perimeter of electric fencing could work if you've already trained your pigs to electric fencing. And the way the electric fencing works is it's just a psychological barrier. You essentially have a big perimeter of negative reinforcement where you're saying, hey, if you go this way, it's going to suck. If you stay here in the middle, it's going to be great. Right? You have a lot of positive reinforcement in the center, negative reinforcement on the periphery. The larger the area you have, the less likely they're going to hammer it, but eventually they will, like the spot behind us, which I think in one of the last videos I put up. We're purposely leaving them here for a while because we want to put a pasture in here eventually, so we're letting them just girdle the trees, just tear it all apart. Long term, we'll have a series of these paddocks where you put them on, and as soon as about 30% of the ground or so, eyeballing it, kind of starts to get torn up, they're going to get bounced because we want that ground to recover and come back into production so that we can bounce them through the woods on a big little circuit, and then by the time we bring them back, there's all this new growth for them to actually consume. Regrowth on this, if they've hammered, is going to be like a whole season just trying to get little plants coming up. It'll take forever because the ground's just so compacted. So your only defense here is they have determined zones, a perimeter where you can't go, right? You touch the wire, it sucks. You go to the center, things are good. And as we keep bouncing them to newer and newer areas, there's always really good centers. Like, why would they want to get out? If they go to the edge, it really sucks. There's nothing over there. Like, it's really good to stay on the inside. Rewarding their actions, right, by making sure they have a place they want to be on the interior of our fence line. So, back to the pig tractor. Now that I've been cut off and I can start again. You have this perimeter of wood, solid structure, and you have them in a confined area, even though you're bouncing them every day, when they first get a new land, that's great, right? They love it. They're like, this is cool. But if your tractor's like even like 10 by 12 is a great big, I mean, there's a point where you can only go so big before it becomes impractical to move. So there's always going to be a limitation of size. And as they get older, or you have a higher stocking density of piglets or pigs or whatever you get going on, the faster they're going to turn that ground over. They may need to be bounced 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. I mean, depending on just how much they're tearing it up. And so, of course, as they tear it up, they run out of things to keep them occupied and chew on, and they slip out under that tractor, and now they've been rewarded with whatever they're finding. Like, oh shit, there's an oak grove over here. How awesome is that? So having an electric fence as a kind of a, maybe as a backup, if you have a plot, an area where you want to put in a garden, and you're going to say we're going to put these pigs in this pig tractor for a while and just kind of bounce them, and then you have that electric fence as a kind of backup. Yeah, I could see where that would kind of work, I guess. But really, you just have to train your pigs first to electric fences so they know what the hell they're doing, and that's all well and good. It's not a big deal. And then you have to build a pig tractor, and then all the maintenance of the pig tractor. It's kind of a lot of work when what you could really do is just train them to electric fencing to begin with, and then use the fencing just to fence off an area and say, okay, I really want this to get hammered, just like we're doing back here with this area, but then have other areas you could rotate them to, and you don't have to screw around at all with, lugging feed out onto this mobile tractor, and then trying to get water to it, and then trying to move it every day, and then if you got fence lines around your whole perimeter, now you got to get your vehicle in there to move it, or maybe if you had a small breed like guinea hogs or something tinier, and maybe you're putting them in there as like a day pen or like a specific area for a few hours out of the day now and again, that could work. I think there's probably a place for it, but in any kind of like day-to-day operation, it just sounds incredibly impractical and a lot of extra work. If you have the time, and you feel better about it, like you derive some feeling of security, like they're good with the wire, and you feel like even if they do escape, you get that backup, and that way it allows you to go to work without having to worry too bad. Then rock and roll, have fun with it. It sounds like a lot of work to me, and I think if you just kind of pay attention to the principles of why the pigs are acting the way they are, you're going to have a lot less heartaches regardless what you do. All right. So that's it. I hope that works out for you and helps you out a little bit. Good luck.